The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. At that time, Jesus declared, I thank you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, that you have hidden these things from the wise and understanding and revealed them to little children. Yes, Father, for such was your gracious will. All things have been handed over to me by my Father, and no one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Blessed are you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth. You have revealed to little ones the mysteries of the kingdom. A priest friend of mine once told me a story. He was with a group of young children. He was teaching them. And he asked them, what is humility? And so a little child raised his hand and he said, knowing that we're not God and that He is. Can you imagine that? That came from a 10-year-old, and only from the mouths of babes. So putting our trust in Him. And what's the foundation of that? That's humility. That's surrender. Surrendering to His will so that He can dwell inside our hearts, so that we can be conformed to Him. And humility is the key to loving God above all else in our lives. In order to do what? In order to give Him what He's due, which is praise and thanksgiving. Today we celebrate the solemnity here of St. Francis. And St. Francis' life exemplified humility. It was rooted in his profound awareness of God's greatness and his own dependence on the divine. Humility is challenging in today's world. We're constantly bombarded in our world, where money, material things, status is worshipped. And while, we need money and material things, they hinder sometimes our interior relationship. I rarely hear in the confessional, Father, I have sinned against the first commandment. I rarely ever hear that. Sometimes. And what is that? It's that you shall have no other gods. Gods with a small g. And sometimes we might even do actions that might seem good or charitable to gain those things, money, status. Yet God always calls us to do actions with the right intention. Suppose I do a great act of charity, maybe for Father Leon, before my brother priest, to gain something, to be acknowledged, but that action is no good because it's not done with purity of heart. That's another virtue is closely related to humility. So even our actions aren't good when they're done with the wrong intention. Don't fear. A lot of people fear rejection, rejection by the world, by our fellow man. But always be humble, trusting in the Lord. Today's gospel, Jesus thanks God for revealing divine wisdom to the humble, to the simple. What does he say? You have hidden these things from the wise and the learned. You have revealed them to the childlike. So Christ is saying that true wisdom is not found in human cleverness. True wisdom is found in an openness to his grace, that we can do his will. And what that involves our prayer life, our interior. So while we're all in this great place of Medjugorje, open your hearts. Respond to his love through the sacraments. Not just here, but every day, after day, when you go back to your homes, because that's not just for yourselves, but it's for the whole world. As our Blessed Mother says, we should pray for the conversion of our hearts daily. And that's what St. Francis did. St. Francis, one day he was praying in a pretty rundown church, and he heard Christ talking to him. He said, "Francis, rebuild my church, which as you see it is falling into ruins." Well, St. Francis, he didn't take that to build that church physically. He wasn't seeing that in that light. For Francis, he felt called to renew the church through what? Through renewing his heart, his interior daily. That's how he took that. So let us ask daily for the virtues of humility, purity of heart, and love of God, so that we can transform the world through his grace.